What up, everyone? I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. Yeah. I hope you're ready to hit the mean streets of Detroit because we're going to be doing Robocop Prime Suspect. Yeah. We're going to follow Robocop as he's been accused of murder. And how is this mystery going to wrap up? We're going to find out, won't we? And this is old Detroit. Keep in mind, everything's shutting down in old Detroit. Jobs are hard to find. People are protesting. People aren't getting paid. And people are also rioting. Take this factory, for example. We got workers versus the scabs. Basically, people are just trying to eat. Money's not getting spread around. And basically, everything's just going to hell in a handbasket. Robocop shows up to kind of quiet down the rioters. And everybody looks at him in awe. Because he is the one thing that's kind of holding this town together. But there's certain protesters that call him a war machine, a monster. And as soon as they throw a bottle at him, the people from the other side of the fence grab their bats, get ready, and they start bashing in the protesters. And this just makes the riot worse. Robocop is trying to do what he can to stop them. But there's really not much he can do. I mean, he's a robot. He doesn't have magical powers. He can't exactly just tell the rioters to stop. But one of the protesters pulls out a little surprise from their car. Big old bazooka, and boom! Hits Robocop and the protesters. So much for peace and love, huh? And this guy's calling him a war machine. What a dick. Anyways, amongst all the dead bodies, Robocop's arm is destroyed. These guys get in the car all proud of themselves, calling him a robo-Nazi and whatnot. Although for his views and his views of peace and love, he just murdered a bunch of people to prove his point. So, pot, meet kettle. Gun, meet car. Ba-bam, ba-bam, yes. Robocop takes out his gun, shoots down the car. The protesters end up hitting the wall, and of course they're not wearing seatbelts, so they go flying through the windshield. Anyways, everyone's just kind of discussing what's going on. These two guys are taking a minute to go over everything, having a beer. And, of course, they go to the news. A talk show. A very Pacific talk show. A very popular one. And this man is basically calling Robocop a menace. Saying that the violence has gone up. It's actually increased. That he's basically just a war machine. That he can't be trusted. That law enforcement shouldn't have this powerful of a tool at their disposal. Blah, blah, blah. And of course, Robocop's arm is still damaged. Dr. Lazarus actually brings him in to try to patch him up, because they have to get him up and running so they can get him back on the streets to kick some booty. Anyways, due to budget cuts, they say that there's going to be no new parts for Robocop unless it's an emergency. Technically, he can still fire with his other hand, so they don't want to give him a new arm. And this pisses Dr. Lazarus off, but the poor cop, there's nothing he can do. He's not the one that crunches the numbers. But there's a new doctor in town. Well, new, but old. This doctor here actually worked on Robocop's body when he was Murphy and they were pulling him apart and adding stuff on. He knows the systems to the Robocop in and out, and he's able to make quick repairs. Repairing the arm without having to replace it. And he's able to put it back on. And it's good as new. Now, this doctor admits that he's basically overqualified to work anywhere else. And Robocop was kind of his greatest achievement, and he's kind of happy here, being back, being part of the team, and helping Robocop out. Dr. Lazarus is good to have, just happy to have a good man in their corner, helping the repairs of Robo. And Robo doesn't seem to mind either. And of course, this scumbag, this talk show host, he's getting out of his protest area, protesting the cops, the force, and everything. He's walking alone on the street by himself, no security. When from out of nowhere, a cop car comes with a big gun. And yes, it looks familiar. It's Robocop's gun. Ba-boom, ba-boom. This man lies dead, shot to death in the middle of the street as the cop car rolls off. And the press is all over this. And they need to check Robocop's gun because the ballistic report shows that the bullets pulled from it match Robocop's gun, and only Robocop uses a gun like that. So they have to run him as a suspect. They go to Robocop. He pulls out his gun, And this is the part where it gets a little dicey. They take the gun for examination, but Robocop demonstrates that only he can fire it. The gun is specialized to his grip. No one else can use it except for Robocop. Dr. Lazarus gives him a real smug look and thinking this is going to vindicate him from the crime. But of course it doesn't. They have a big press conference and they decide to put Robocop on trial. For it is his gun that did it. And the test kind of proves his guilt in some ways. It makes him look guiltier because he's the only one that could fire it. So since he's the only one that can fire it, and it was a cop car scene at the crime, and it's his gun, he's really up a creek. Of course, Robocop says that he's innocent. They bring all the witnesses to this kangaroo court, the talk show host's wife, other people, and of course they put Dr. Lazarus on the stand, and they basically point out that he is the only one that could fire that gun. There's no one to verify that he was there by himself all night, so there's motive, opportunity, and the murder weapon, the triad. And of course they have the dead body. So it doesn't really take that long for them to deliberate, and they decree that Robocop ought to be shut down for this. But did Robocop commit this crime? Who, and if not, who framed him? And will he be shut down? What will Detroit do without its #1 protector? Well, we'll find out the next time, won't we? And I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.